Hi students, welcome to this interesting session of Habitat of the Living. In the previous session we discussed about the habitats, the 6 major habitats which exist on our planet, and in today's session we are going to start with a new topic, and that is adaptation. So students, have you ever given thought that what would happen if a polar bear is brought to a desert? Obviously, it may not survive. That is because a desert is very hot and the animal is not suited, polar bear is not suited to live there. Because a polar bear's habitat is polar region, which is a very cold place. So basically, habitats differ in several ways. Some are hot, whereas some are very cold, which some of them receive a lot of rain, while some of them are very dry. Some are hilly, while some are flat. So there are different habitats and they differ in several ways, and different animals survive in such habitats. Because each habitat is different, animals and plants found in a particular habitat have changed, or rather we can say that they have adapted themselves to survive there. For example, polar bear, it is adapted to live in polar regions. Cactus plant, it cannot be found in the polar regions because the favorable conditions for a cactus plant to survive is in the desert. So animals and plants, they have changed and adapted themselves to survive there in a particular habitat, right? So let us see that what this term means. Adaptation. Yes, the presence of specific features or certain habits which enable a plant or an animal to live in its surroundings is called adaptation. Or in a simple manner, we can also define adaptation in this way: that changes in the structure, or behavior of an organism that allow it to survive in a particular habitat are called adaptations. So, adaptations in organisms take place gradually, not in just a day, but it takes over thousands of years. These changes take place over hundreds or thousands of years. So the changes in the structure or behavior of an organism that allow it to survive in a particular habitat are called adaptations. So different animals are adapted to their surroundings in different ways. Like animals adapt through a series of small random mutations, and they usually do so in order to compete more effectively for food, shelter, or space and water. So with such strong competition between species, the animals that have certain adaptations or the plants that have certain adaptations are more likely to be stronger and therefore produce more young. So those animals with useful and favorable characteristics quickly become spread around the world, but those animals with the least favorable features tend to be pushed out as they are weaker. Not to be pushed out, but they do not adapt themselves to such environment and they die. So as with all living organisms, animals change through the generations. Changes which can be difficult to see immediately but can have an enormous impact on the appearance of an animal and the way in which an animal behaves. So this process of evolution often results in changes to the animal in accordance with their surroundings and changes in their survival strategies too. So this process occurs very slowly over thousands and millions of years, and theories of evolution explains how different animal species are related to one another, like apes and humans. So there are many changes or adaptations which take place in organisms gradually. So generally organisms adapt to their habitat by communication, by instinct, by intelligence, by strategies, by changes. What type of changes? Let us see. Yes, changes in body, changes in location, changes in behavior. So these are the adaptations which take place in an organism gradually. So the first one which I told, that is communication. Now what happens in this type of change? Like for most animal species, keeping in touch with other animals of their species is often essential to their, that is often essential to their survival. Like animals, they communicate with one another for a variety of reasons, including for hunting of food, means hunting for food, warning others of approaching danger, or rather attracting a mate. So they make sound to attract a mate. So different animals use different methods to communicate, including eye movements in lizards, body language, noises, and hand gestures. Female glowworms, they even light up their tails. You'll be very amazed to know about them. About female glowworms. They light up their tails in order to let the males know where they are. So animal communication can be easily identified around the world, and the noises such as whistles, chirps, bellows, screams, howls, squeaks or grunts, they are common throughout all of our habitats. So this is one such thing. This is one such process. The second one is instinct. Instinct in animals is something which is ingrained into that animal when it is still developing and hasn't even been born yet. So instinct is thought to be hereditary, means it is passed on from parents. So baby animals instinctively know how to get food from their parents, like a lion gives birth to a cub. So a cub will know how to hunt for animals. Although instinctive behavior is a behavior at a very basic level without natural instinct, many animals simply would not survive, as baby birds wouldn't know how to get food from their mother and beavers wouldn't know how to build a dam. So many animals rely on their instincts to sense approaching danger or when searching for a mate. So this is instinct. Third one is intelligence. Now these are not the form of adaptations, but these are necessary for the survival of these animals. Now, intelligence in its simplest form is the ability to make a decision which is based on having learned from previous experiences that how much an animal remembers and their levels of communication. Despite being the most dominant animals on earth, the level of human intelligence does not greatly exceed the level of intelligence of a number of other animals, including dolphins, apes, and dogs. Many animals that migrate long distances every year somehow must know which path they are taking or which direction to swim in. Some remember completely using landmarks to ensure that they are on the right path, and the ability for sea turtles to always land on the same spot or on the same beach, which is still a mystery. Isn't it amazing? Yes, it is. The fourth one is about strategies. Strategies means in order to survive successfully within their environment, animals often have a number of ways in which they do things known as strategies. Animals have various strategies for defending themselves, like hunting prey, resting and finding a mate, all of which differ between animal species but can also differ greatly within a species. Many animal species that live together in groups often have a dominant male member who defends and protects his females and their young ones. Like male lions, they protect their females and cubs. So here I take an example of male lions. I will give you an example of male lions. They protect their females and cubs from harm by either intimidating or attacking unwanted intruders. The female lions are the ones who hunt for food, and they often develop quite complicated and technical techniques in order to catch prey more successfully. So these are the adaptations in organisms that take place gradually over thousands of years. Now we were talking about the organisms that adapt to their habitat by changes also. So let us have a look at these changes. Yes, changes in body. Like many plants and animals develop special body parts that help them to survive in their habitat. So such changes are termed as modifications. So these modifications take place in plants and animals too. There are other changes too, like changes in location. Certain animals, for example some birds and fish, move from one region to another in response to climatic changes, and so we call it as migration. The seasonal movement of animals from one region to another is called migration. So animals like to be in the right place at the right time in order to be able to get enough food and to breed successfully. So many animals all over the planet embark on epic migrations that can go on for thousands of miles. Like the most common migrants are those of birds. Like I said, that birds that leave the northern hemisphere as it cools in the winter season and fly to warmer climates in the south. So when the winter is over and the weather gets warmer again, the birds return to north. Same way many animal species migrate, including wild beasts who follow the African rains. There is one of these species like wild beast who follow the African rains, sardines that stick to the cold water currents, and some animals migrate towards who live or survive in the Arctic Circle, who embark on the longest land migration every summer in huge numbers. So there are many animals and plant species who adapt themselves by migrating from one place. By migrating means the movement which takes place in animals and plants. They move from one place to another. Then there are changes in behavior too. Like many organisms show specialized behavior to survive in their habitat. Like Here you can see one beautiful image of chameleon. Now this is a chameleon here. Can you spot it? Can you identify it? Yes. This type of specialized behavior for the survival is known as camouflage. Now here you can see these are the beautiful images which shows the changes in behavior in animals to survive in their habitat. For example, there are some animals that reduce their activities during winter months and go to a deep sleep to deal with extremely low temperatures. So these are also the animals which survive by going into a deep sleep. Then the camouflage, which we discussed, So it takes place in some animals like chameleons. This is the ability to be able to disappear into their surrounding environment or changing their color. This is also vital to the survival of numerous animal species around the world. So there are some animals which have similar colorings to their surroundings so that they can blend in completely. They are completely in their environment, such as gerbils in the sand, where other animals have colors and markings which help them go unseen, like a zebra in the forest is harder to spot thanks to its striped body markings. Other animals which we discussed like chameleons, they are able to adapt their camouflage to their surroundings, for example by changing from brown colored on to a ground level to green and blue when it is hiding in the foliage. So these type of adaptations take place. So there are many other animals too which go into deep sleep. So what do we call this process as? What do we call this period? Yes, the period of reduced activity in animals during winter months is known as hibernation. And in the same way, the period of reduced activity in animals during summer months is known as aestivation. So these are all the type of adaptations or the changes that allow the living organisms to survive in a particular habitat. So that was all about the introduction to adaptations, and I hope that you enjoyed this session, you liked this session, and you clearly understand about this adaptations. I hope you are clear with it. So we will meet in the next session and we will continue this adaptations topic in the next session.